Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures Daily Dose of Nature. I'm your host, Brooke Mitchell, and today's topic is Mexican Jaguar, the mighty Mayan Balam, with NatHab Expedition Leader Melissa Silva. Thank you so much for being here today, Melissa. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for being here. And well, let's get started with this because I have a lot of information from the natural history of the jaguar, the conservation programs that are going on right now. So I hope you enjoy this as much as I did while doing this research for the webinar. So well, I'm a marine biologist. I work with NatHab here in Mexico for the monarch butterfly trips, and I decided to speak to talk about this with all of you because I think we have like this uh, uh, idea or liking for the jaguars from the since the ancient cultures, but also from the popular culture, as you can see in this slide. But then when you try to go deeper and talk about them, and then some questions come up, some things that we don't really understand about them, or that we have misconceptions of these animals. So, well, as you can see, we have jaguars everywhere in the Americas. They are very popular here in Mexico, at least. For example, we even had a rock band here named Jaguares. So just imagine how cool we think jaguars are for us. Then for all of those that are that like video games, I'm pretty sure you have known of this character, this jaguar from Mortal Kombat 11. So well, many different things that we can just look around and say, oh, jaguars are present every day here. So let's get into the nerdy things that I like. They belong to a family of mammals named Felidae. I actually had a previous webinar talking about the big cats of Mexico, the wild cats of Mexico, where I went a little bit deeper into these taxonomic relations. So here I will go directly into the Panthera genus, that is where we find the jaguar. This genus, Panthera, belongs to a subfamily named Pantherine, which in general terms, we can call them the roarers, the cats that can roar. On the other hand, we have the little cats, or the cats that can purr, like the house cat. That's the easiest and closest example for you to know. The difference between these two subfamilies, more than anything, is this anatomical structure on the larynx, in which in the Pantherine cats, the larynx is mobile, so they can make very like deep sounds, the roar. In the other hand, the feline, the purrs, they have this ossified bone area on the larynx, and they cannot have all the range of sounds that the roarers have. And actually, the roarers don't really purr that much as a small cats or felines. So well, that's kind of like the big difference between one group and the other. And from the Pantherine, we have the genus Panthera. So these are together with another, yeah, the Neophelis genus. Uh, the roarers are 7 different species, and 5 of those belong to the Panthera genus. And well, one of those is the jaguar, of course. The scientific name or binomial name of jaguar is Panthera onca. And actually, onca comes from a Portuguese word from Brazil, onça, that is actually the name they have for this cat, onça pintada, or just onça. So the distribution of the jaguar, it's all the Americas, all of the Americas from historically from the southern part of the United States, right here, all the way to the northern part of Argentina. Is the largest wild cat that we have in the Americas, native from the area, and is the third largest cat of the world, just right behind the tiger in first place and the lion in second place. So it's in size and mass. Tiger is the first one, the largest cat of the world, then lions, the African lions, and then the jaguars. Most of the population nowadays, from this estimation, I want to make a parenthesis here, the total population, this estimation comes from several different researchers from the IUCN, and they say that the minimum number, the lowest number of jaguars in the wild right now can be 64,000, but the maximum number, the estimations that mathematically they do, they can estimate up to 173,000 jaguars. So we are in a range somewhere there on the population. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure you already know, the population in general is declining in some specific areas more than in others. And well, we will speak about that in a moment, but most of the population that is present nowadays in these darker red areas, most of those are on the Amazon basin, right around the Amazon river, and is where we find up to 90% of the jaguars living in the wild. In Mexico specifically, we have them in both of the sites, in both coastal areas of Mexico. As you can see, if you know a little bit of the geography of my country, of Mexico, we have two mountain ranges and a southern mountain range in this area. So you can see they are associated to the mountain areas, but mostly to the wet areas. Here we have a lot of mangrove ecosystems, wetlands. In here we have a lot of rivers as well. And as you can see in some patches of these mountain ranges, they are not present because they don't tend to go very high in altitude. So for research and protection purposes in Mexico, we have 5 different regions to consider. You can see them here divided by color. And then this little star that you can see right next to Sonora and Chihuahua, but in your place in the US, is a little tiny area, super tiny, where you can still have, you can still see wild jaguars in the US. So we will go over this in a moment, because there are some recent research that say that you can have more jaguars on this area, but they have not. This area has not been studied or protected enough to allow them to be let's say like all year round. So we'll go in a moment on that. Right here under the Interstate 10, right below Tucson, Sierra Vista area. I'm pretty sure you know better than I where they are. So as you see, they are distributed all over the Americas. There's a huge diversity of habitats. So basically, they live everywhere in every habitat that is in this distribution. But very important is that they are associated to the water. So we will find them in swampy areas, in mangrove areas, as I mentioned, in the coast. Here in Mexico, for example, we have seen them in the Oaxaca coast, like by the ocean. In Costa Rica, there are registers of jaguars preying on sea turtles, as well as in Mexico, but like right on the beach. So it's the one of the most important factors for them to the distribution is the water resource. This cat actually is considered to be mostly or more aquatic than other species of cat. So the jaguars have this sturdy body, this muscular upper area or frontal area, the chest, the neck. In comparison with other big cats, they actually have short legs, but they are very powerful. They are muscular, strong, and they have a slightly short tail, according to the rest of, in proportion to the rest of the body, but they have a very robust musculature there. In general, for the jaguars, anywhere you see them, males will be larger than females, and it's very similar with the rest of the cats, with the big cats. The head is very characteristic. It's something that if you see a jaguar, it actually, like, your eyes go directly to this powerful big head, the jaws, all the muscles under the skin that you can see moving. So the head, actually, if you see this little drawing here on the left bottom of the slide, the head seen from the front is basically circular. And if you picture a face of a face of a lion or a face of a lynx, they have like different features, different characteristics that are also very distinctive of each species. So uh, in general terms, we can say that the jaguar has this round big head, meanwhile other cats have like diamond shape or triangle shape heads. So these measurements and weight are for the jaguars that we find in Mexico mostly. And well, the range is because males and females have, as I mentioned, different sizes. And here, what I wanted to do, let's see if I can, if you can see, I have me, here it is. So it says the height to the shoulder is about 80 centimeters, 3 inches. 1 second, right here, 3 inches. Something like this. I don't know if you can see me well, but well, actually it doesn't even fit on the camera. So 80 centimeters is almost from the top of my head to my hips. I'm a short woman. So 80 centimeters from the paw to the shoulder of a male jaguar in Mexico, in average. Okay, just picture that. Plus the neck and the big head. Okay, then the tail is about 80 centimeters as well. So the same height that they have is the tail length, more or less. The body length, that thing is huge. I actually have a bench here that I don't know if you can see, but this green bench right there is just a regular bench. 2 or 3 people can sit on this. That length, the length of this bench is 8 feet. So that's the length of the body of a male jaguar here in Mexico. 1 second, 5, 6, 7, 8 feet. So just picture that 8 feet, the largest jaguar in Mexico. So it's a huge, huge animal, as you can see, and it's only the third largest is the cat in the world. But besides that, as I mentioned, these are for Mexican jaguars, from the ones that go to the States, the ones that are in Central America. We actually have bigger jaguars. And for many years, for at least 100 years, the scientists thought that we had 8 subspecies, that we have one species of jaguar, Panthera onca, and then we had 8 different subspecies depending on the area where they were living. So now with the modern the research with the mitochondrial DNA and all of these genomic phylogenetic studies, we know that they all belong to the same species, just like humans, but they have different anatomical features, adaptations to the areas where they live, just like humans. So, in general, the jaguars that live on the south part of the Americas are bigger than the ones living on the north part of the Americas. As you can see on this slide, the maximum weight that they have registered of, for example, in the Pantanal, that is the southernmost area in Venezuelan llanos as well, is all of this area. The largest male adult that they weighed was almost 350 pounds. So it's a massive, massive jaguar. The skull length, the length from the muscle to the back of the skull was almost 1 foot. 1 second. Aquí está. Like this. And then you can see me. So it's more or less like my whole arm from my elbow to the tip of my fingers. So that was the size of the skull of a jaguar, the largest jaguar registered in the Pantanal area. From there, we get shorter and shorter jaguars, and all of these adaptations come because of the area where they live. So, for example, if they live in open areas like those in the Pantanal or in the Amazonian basin, they will have some valleys where they can just like be around. There is no like things that are on their way. Let's talk about the trees. So, going to the jungles or the forest, they will have smaller areas to go through, and they will have smaller bodies and darker for darker hair coloration, because they have to mimetize or camouflage in the dense shadow of the jungle. I don't know if that makes sense, the adaptations that they have for the different habitats that they live in. So, bueno, the same species but different sizes. And speaking of fur and coloration, very distinctive pattern of the fur that these jaguars have. They have a very short hair, very bristle hair. I don't really remember. I might have touched one from those of the petting zoo, the baby ones, but I don't really remember the hair. But if you have a short hair cat at home, just it's the same. It's like the shortest hairs that they have, this bristle sensation, pretty much the same. And the distinctive pattern that they have, it's called rosettes, right here, rosettes. And and the difference to other big cats that have the same rosette pattern, these are larger than the others. I'm speaking about cheetahs or leopards. Um, these ones have one or more dots inside, as you can see here. And the importance of this design is that it helps us humans to identify the different individuals of the jaguars. For example, this image here on the right side of the slide, you can see three different jaguars, and the circle area, you can see different patterns of rosettes. So now that I mentioned, is it a jaguar? Is it a leopard? How to tell one from the other? Well, there are very distinctive characteristics to tell one from the other if you are not like familiar, or if you don't know if it's a like a natural inhabitant of the area where they are. But in general, the size. The jaguar is going to be broader or bigger or stockier than a leopard. The rosettes in the leopard are going to be let's say clean. They will not have dots inside. Meanwhile, the jaguars, as I mentioned, they will have one or more. On the face area, jaguars usually have wider jaw. They have the jaw is wider underneath, and all that white goes into the muzzle, to the nose mostly. On the other hand, for leopards, they have like a gradient all over the place, going from darker to is the wider, but without like this distinctive patch or division. This image here, I found it to be very neat, very detailed and biologically accurate. And I took it from a series of guides named Big and Small Cats Guides by this artist, Jumana Medlet. So you can Google that. It's on Amazon. So it's actually a book, and then it has like the guides that you can open. It's the drawings are beautiful, beautiful, and you have like all the cats of the world, the wild cats, plus the domestic cats, the variation, all the different variations that we have from the domestic cats. So take a look on that. I close the parentheses. So now another trick that I found while looking for the differences between leopards and the jaguars, I'm sorry, excuse me. It's that on the back of the animal, the spots, the rosettes are different. As you can see, jaguars, they this the rosettes tend to have like darker areas, and finally they look just like patches of black. And on the other hand, for leopards, basically you see the rosettes all over the place, all over the body, anywhere you see, there are rosettes without the inner spots. And then the other, maybe easiest way to tell if it's a leopard or a jaguar, what you are seeing in the wild, is where are you in the wild? If you are in the Americas and you know it's an area where jaguars are living, then it's a jaguar. If you are in Africa or Asia, and is the area where the leopards are distributed, then it is a leopard. That's like the easiest thing. They don't live, but in their area, continental area, separated one from the other. And then we have a variation on the color of these animals' fur. The melanistic jaguars or pantheras, um, black panthers. So we can call black panther either a black jaguar or a black leopard. We don't have like a specific for each. And for what I was reading here, there are even black pumas. I didn't know that. So black pumas, black jaguars, black leopards, they can all be called panthers. And we know it's a big cat with a melanistic fur. So you can see on this image, I really love this. You can see the rosettes of the jaguar here and the dots inside the rosettes. Then you can see the big head, the big neck, the short tail. It's a jaguar. Now I found this explanation in, I think it was Reddit or Quora. I don't know where I was looking for the images, but it says if you see a black panther in Africa or Asia, it is a leopard. If you see a black panther in Central or South America, it is a jaguar. If you see a black panther in Europe or Australia, you are in a zoo and there are signs. So easy to tell one from the other. So the jaguars are they are active during day or nighttime. They are not nocturnal, specifically nocturnal cats like others. They can be active very early in the morning, midday. It depends once again where they are located, but they basically are active any time of the day. They prey on mostly medium to large size prey. They are carnivores, or all cats are carnivores. And scientists consider jaguars an opportunistic carnivore. That means that if they see fish, they will go and get the fish. If they see, I don't know, a dying deer, they will finish the deer and eat the deer. In southern Mexico, for example, in Yucatan, Quintana Roo area of the peninsula, we have monkeys. We have spider monkeys, owling monkeys. So jaguars prey on monkeys here. They prey on coatis, they prey on javelinas. Going north in Mexico, they prey on deers, they prey on these big horn sheep. And if we go to South America, they prey on capybaras, they can prey on macaws, they can even prey on caimans, on crocodiles. So they will eat basically any other animal that is like big enough to give some energy to the jaguar. So the amazing fact about jaguars is the ability to predate on everything here, because they actually can eat is the cattle. They can eat like a big cow or a big horse. They are able to kill it and drag it to the area where they are going to eat it. So the power or the benefit, the advantage that they have to do so is that they have a wider skull than other stephelids. For example, this diagram here in black in gray scale you can see a skull on the top is a jaguar skull, and this one on the bottom is a tiger skull. So in absolute dimensions, this according to the author of the study, this is in proportion. They are proportional on size. The jaguar skull is wider than the tiger skull, and remember, the tiger is the biggest cat, the wild cat in the world. So this jaguar has a bigger skull, hence they have bigger muscles. So that's why they have the ability or the advantage of a strong bite. The bite force for the jaguar is 1,500 psi, which is, well, is physics, and I don't really remember this, how to translate that, like in how many elephants in one hand. But it's huge, 1,500 psi. That is the double of an adult tiger, and that is only because of this muscle that they have in head and neck. And then another advantage or another adaptation ability that jaguars have is that they don't grab the neck of their prey. Usually, for example, for pumas or for lions, or see, pumas or lions, they tend to grab the neck of the prey, and then they just squeeze it until the prey cannot breathe and dies. For the on the other hand, for the jaguar, what they do is that they take the prey on the back of the skull, and then they basically crush the neck and the skull, and either the prey gets a paralysis, or it dies immediately from the bite. So it's an apex predator with all the letters. And as I mentioned, they are pretty much aquatic cats. They are very good on swimming, from to move from one side to another, or even they are very good on hunting in the water. So I'm pretty sure you have seen videos like this in many other areas, but I wanted just to show you how this the tiger, this jaguar, is just stalking the crocodile, the caiman, and then how he's going to attack, and he's going to be so precise. Look at that. And he's going to get the crocodile, the caiman, in its habitat. So we know caimans are aquatic. They are the apex predator in a water environment. And here is a smaller caiman, but even though, look at the power of the jaguar doing this. So I wanted to show you this because, well, it's something that it's important for to keep in mind to understand why this was so like a deity. It was a god for the Mesoamerican people, from the Pueblo people. All the Pueblo cultures also consider the jaguar a deity. So, well, we get there in a moment. So speaking of babies, the litters are from 2 to 4 cubs every 2 years, more or less. And mating season varies depending, once again, where they are. Mating season is right on the rainy season. So, for example, here in Mexico, North America, the northern hemisphere, we have rainy season in, guess, August. It's not June, July, August, more or less. So that would be mating season for the northern part of the Americas. I think it's November, December, and January for South America, if I remember correctly. So basically, that would be the time of the year where they are mating. And here I found this video that I think is, hey, what happened here? 1 second, please. Oh, it was on the next one. Here, the mating call. Listen to this. Again. So this is a male in this ¿qué es? Trap cam that is just making this mating call. And in Bolivia, the local people that is living around the jaguar habitat, they say that the jaguar is singing, that they are singing for the night. So it was a very beautiful video that I found. I wanted to share with you. And here, okay, see. So here we go, like why it was so important, why it was a supernatural element of nature for the Mesoamerican people, and as I mentioned, also for the southern U.S. native tribes as well. The jaguar being the apex predator of this environment, where back on those days humans were very part of nature. um, they symbolized the duality of the world. So, for example, it was thought that the golden jaguars, the regular coloration jaguars, represented the the sun, but also with cloudy weather. I don't know if you can picture this, but it is the brightness of the sun with the clouds and the rain. So it was associated to the rain. Now, the black jaguars, they were associated to the dark, to the night, to the dark moments of the day. And since they I'm pretty sure they knew there were two different like specimens or individuals, that was a melanistic jaguar and a regular jaguar. But they said that the jaguar had the ability to change their fur, to change the color. So during the night, they will take the darker form, and during the day, they will take the lighter form. So they had the ability to go and change according to the that was the belief, to the time of the day. And then they had the ability, since their dens and their like resting places were caves or on their big dead trees, for example, darker areas, they were also considered a deity for the underworld. So they were able to travel to the afterlife by going into their caves, the dens, and then they can come back. So if a melanistic female had babies, the baby could be a regular coloration jaguar. So they will say like, oh, they go and get another jaguar, another lord of the night from the underworld. I don't know if you can understand this cosmology. So basically, it's associated to all of this mythology. On the fertility, the rain is considered to be a masculine element, and then the earth or the seeds are considered a feminine element. So when the rain was coming down, penetrating on the earth, it was the fertility process, and then we have the food. But also, and that is associated, of course, to the jaguar that is digging for the den, for the resting areas. And then we have, of course, the association to the death, because jaguars, they are once again the apex predator. They even can kill. Back on those days when we still didn't have cows or cattle, they were able to kill men. So they were associated to death in all of their forms. Now, in the Mayan culture in the peninsula, and Guatemala and Brazil as the Belize, they consider the jaguar, which like the popular name or the common name there was Balam, but it was also Chacmol as well, or Nokochwikin, something like that. That used to it means big men, like a big muscular men, because well, it was this belief, like on this image here on the right, that the jaguar, or some people were able to mutate or transform themselves into jaguars. If you see on this image here on the right, this dancer has jaguar hands already. It's kind of like on this metamorphosis process. So it was considered for the Mayans a symbol, of course, of status, of power, of divinity. So this throne on the left side of the slide is a throne that was found in the Chichen Itza pyramid, the castle that is called. Inside the pyramid was this room that the archaeologists think it was like the king's room or the emperor's room of the area, kind of like for the meetings and so. And in the central part, the power position area was this throne representing a jaguar, as you can see. But then in some codex, there are representations of bigger thrones, like a huge throne with like real jaguar skin, like with real jaguar on it. So that represented the maximum power of the area of the Mayan reign. Then for the Mexicas, for the Aztecs, Central America part, a little bit of influence for the Mayans, to the Mayans, a little bit of influence also to the northern part of Mexico, the Nahuas. There were different representations. I just took these two, but we also have Tezcatlipoca and different other jaguar representations. But these one are like the most popular ones, or the ones that I can share with you today. The Ocelopili, which was the jaguar warrior, as you can see on the left. So they they actually were dressed on real jaguar skin. So as you can see here, it is painted. You can see the feet going out of the paws of this jaguar skin. The hand is coming out of the hands of the jaguar. So they were actually wearing a real jaguar skin. To get to be an ocelopilia, ocelot warrior, you had to be from a royal family. It could be from the emperor or from the highest priest. You have to be, of course, like very brave, like fearless almost, and but at the same time you have to be honorable. I don't know if that makes sense. Have honor, respect. For example, it was very bad for the Mexica cosmovision to get drunk or to be unfaithful. I think yeah, to have more than one sentimental partner, unless you have a high status and you were able to get married with different, in this case women only, to have a political alliance. But well, you have to be respected. You have to be physically strong, with higher moral position than others, in order to be a jaguar warrior. So not a lot of people were able to do so. And this no, Tepeyolot is the representation of Tezcatlipoca is a god associated to the night, to to the war, but in the bad part of the war, not the winning part, but the losing part. And then another form that the Tezcatlipoca had was Tepeyolot. Tepeyolot was a jaguar living inside a mountain, inside a hill. You can see this drawing from a codex. It's a jaguar sitting on top of a. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Can you, Brooke? Can you hear me?
Yes, you're
Hello,
back there.
hello.
You cut off for 1 second, but you're back.
Okay, yeah, I had a notification. Okay, so as you can see in the mountain here, all these black dots, these black circles, symbolize or mean, they mean caves. Once again, remember their dens are caves, or they dig under a dead trunk and they have a cave made for resting, for protection. So once again, we have the representation, the entrance to the underworld. Then these circles that are red and white, pretty much like the Pokemon balls, very similar. They represent movement. They represent the earthquakes. So Tepeyolot is actually the lord or the guardian of the earth movements. Central Mexicans here in the central part of Mexico, we have a lot of earthquakes like every day, some bigger than others. So they used to say that when it was a big earthquake, that Tepeyolot was either stretching or coming out. It depends on how strong the earthquake was. They were just saying, oh, it's just stretching or it's just scratching on the earth. So here we have these two representations for the jaguar in the Aztec Mexica culture. And then I had to show off a little bit the Mexican army. We just had our independence celebration, September 16. So we were there to see the parade, the military parade. And they presented this new vehicle, this new tactical vehicle, and they name it Ocelot. So you can look in internet the characteristics of the car and everything. But well, it's just for you to know that we name our our weapons after Mexica warriors. Okay, and then this is something very beautiful. I was so amazed and amused of this, La Danza de los Tecuanes. So if you remember, I said tiger instead of jaguar a few slides back, because in Spanish we call it jaguar in most of Mexico, but in some specific areas they call it tigre, just like tiger. So tigre de monte, like mountain tiger, or which one other era? Ocelot, jaguar, tiger, and then in a specific area of Guerrero State, it's called Tecuan. Let me give you the name. Chilapa Guerrero. Chilapa, and it has influence from the Mexicas, from the Aztecs, but it has more of like Zapotec or Mixtec origin. So the Tecuanes, the dance of the Tecuanes, Tecuan is the jaguar. That's the name that they give in this area to the jaguars. And this dance represents the hunting of a jaguar. This is the little screenshot that I have here on the left of the slide. It's from the Smithsonian National Museum of American Indian. So you can go online, check for this the YouTube channel, and Dia de los Muertos Festival 2015, La Danza de los Tecuanes 2, and it's a 35-minute video with all the explanation for this dance. It's beautiful to watch. It's bilingual, so you won't have trouble like getting the idea of what's going on. And here I wanted to show you just a little bit of this. I wanted you to see like the representation of the hunters, the representation of a dog that is helping the hunters, the representation of the jaguar. So take a look of this, and I will explain something else in a moment. because I want you to see. Okay, so all of this is the representation of a group of farmers that are going out to hunt the jaguar because the jaguar was eating the cows or donkeys or their animals. So this person here, this character here in brown, that's a dog. So they also have like these hunting dogs. Somewhere there was the death. Right here on the left is the death. So there's always like the dead over there, the dog. In other representations, we have this old woman with a lot of herbs. That's like a shaman, like a healer, a curandera, and it's healing the man. It's healing the dog. It's a very complex, uh, basically theatrical representation of the hunt of a jaguar that was, well, killing the cattle. It's basically the human cat conflict that we have still nowadays. So as I said, excuse me, as I said, I strongly recommend you to come and and take a look on this video because it explains on detail and it shows basically like the whole play of the tecuanes. And well, in YouTube there are many other videos, some longer, some shorter, but that one is the one I saw. Here, well, este as any other cat, big cat, wild cat in the world, very much as any other not is the natural species, wild species, they have threats. Um, Basically, the same threats to the other wild cats: poaching, illegal trade, uh, loss of natural prey, habitat fragmentation, habitat loss, and the conflict man-animal. Here, I wanted to show you, 1 second, please. This one. If you want to get into what's going on with the trafficking of jaguars in Latin America, there is this open access report. It's beautiful. I mean, besides being like a very bad thing, it's the way that they put it all together. It's very, very beautiful, very easy to understand, and very recent. 2019. That's a recent report that I found. And here, for example, we have like the information of that's it, of who's hunting them, why they are hunting, why. That's something very important when we're talking about is the problems with wildlife. Why is happening that, and what can we do to minimize or finish these problems. The supply, trade, demand. Consumers, who are the consumers of this illegal trade? Which are the parts of the animal that are trade or wanted? What's the use for those body parts? Personal home decoration. What's the reason for killing? Human jaguar conflict, fear, blah blah. So take a look at that. Just as I mentioned, it's on the internet, open access, and something very, very interesting to see. Okie dokie. So then we also have, because all of these problems, we had to have an international day just to make awareness. So we have the International Jaguar Day, November 29th, coming, and there is a website, an organization, a non-profit organization that is working with several different organizations for protection, for conservation, as the research programs, etc. So go online and check this one also, internationaljaguarday.org. There's a lot of information, also a lot of other published papers that you can read over there. And here was the mistake. I wanted to show you this after. If you remember this one that I mentioned, bleep, bleep, we only have this little area here that is like fully protected because there are jaguars in this area. Bueno, so there are jaguars in the southern part of the states, mostly on Arizona, New Mexico, this little tiny part of New Mexico. And in the last like 15, 20 years, there have been like 4 or 5 sites of jaguar individuals. So all of the individuals that had been identified are males, and the the reason that researchers have for having only males is that there are not enough prey or suitable habitat for the females to go there, mate, and have their babies. So the males, naturally, they go out, they explore, they move further, and if there is no other competitor, another male jaguar, they can hang out in the place for a while. They can hunt in the area if there's availability of prey, but eventually they will move back to Mexico in this case for mating purposes. The females, on the other hand, they are not as adventurous, let's say, as the males, and they will stay in areas that are more suitable in terms of easy prey and less disturbed, less fragmented or disturbed a habitat. Nevertheless, in uh, in 2010, there was a proposal to add some acres to the jaguar habitat to this area of Arizona and New Mexico. But it was until 2018 when there was an actual jaguar recovery plan from the US FWS. So once again, this recovery plan, Jaguar recovery plan, is an open access document. Type it just like that, Jaguar recovery plan, USFWS, and you will have the information. Just take a look that it is on July 2018. It's the only one, but there are some previous like proposal, like this one proposed things that show up instead of the recovery plan. But in general terms, that's the. Let me see if I have this one open here. No, only this one. So in general terms, this is the like what we have right now. Now, the newest petition, in this case, the newest effort to make a reintroduction of jaguar in the southern part of the U.S. was made in 2022. Is the one that I just show you. This one is awesome. I'm a nerd. I like scientific publications, but this petition to reintroduce the jaguar, it's so beautiful. It has so many information, so juicy information, like these maps, for example. Here you can see the is the one that I have on the slide, but you can see it better here. The requested critical habitat is all of this, with the Mogollon Plateau areas, with the Sky Island areas, and Jaguar critical habitat as current, only the blue areas. So there's like a huge area of opportunity here for improve the protection of the jaguar in the southern part of the U.S. For the reintroduction of the jaguar in the U.S. So well, take a look on that document as well. And then, as I mentioned before, the jaguars in Arizona, specifically the photo identifications that they have had, tells them until very recently, 23, I think. I think 2023 was the most recent the photograph of a jaguar, a non-identified jaguar in Arizona, and it's these three photographies that I show you here on the left of the slide. On the top is this, they call it the mystery jaguar. On the center is Sombra jaguar, fully identified. And at the bottom is a jaguar that is hugely famous because I think it's the one that has been the most time in Arizona, is El Jefe. So check this this note. Is a periodistical note, but you have links to the different projects and the different videos where they took these captures, these photos. And while this is kind of like a prickly topic because we go into the politics, But there are a lot of studies that point out that the jaguars could return to the US Southwest if they have easy way to move, if you know what I mean. So if they don't have like these barriers that humans put between one country and the other, yeah, the borderline. So take a look on that. A lot of material there to discuss, to talk about, and to think on new solutions for these majestic animals. We're almost going to the last ones. But if you want to go like more in detail, I already showed this in the previous the webinar. But this see this publication, this note also, yeah, also has a lot of links to the projects that are currently going on the border for the what was the name of that, like the free movement of the wildlife in the border area. And well, this book, Borderland Jaguar, is the only book that has been published in this topic specifically. And in that book, the authors give you like all the solutions, like what kind of like a recipe, like what you need to have in order to make the jaguar thrive in the border area. So like since from like free pass to protection of these lands that I showed you in the previous island is the slides, to the ¿cómo se llama? The adaptations that humans can have by having jaguars in the area, to avoid the human cat conflicts. And then I want to mention specifically the Northern Jaguar project because it's something very beautiful. I was seeing some videos of this, and it's just amazing what they are doing. They are located in Mexico, in Sonora area, in some areas that are the public, no, ¿cómo se llama? Private land, ranches, but also some are public federal land that are protected. So here, what this organization wants to do is to make the owners of this land more conscious about the jaguars in their lands. Here the problem has been always that the jaguars lose their natural prey because, well, the people living there is killing deers, bighorn sheep, and all other animals that the jaguar is feeding off. So when they don't have that natural food that they are used to, that they need, they go after the cattle. So there were a lot of problems in here, but this Northern Jaguar Reserve, the Northern Jaguar Project, has like a project to pay for photos of live jaguars in the wild. So the ranchers, what they are doing is setting cameras in their areas, in their the private land, and then if they see the photos, if they have the photos, they will get some money, some hundreds of pesos per each different jaguar. So if you have jaguar number one, but then you have a recapture of that jaguar, you won't get extra money. You just get the money for the first time you have that jaguar. And then at the end of the year, they make a contest for the best photo. And also, what other thing? Bueno, you can go online and check all the other ¿cómo se llama? No projects, ideas that they have for helping the conservation of jaguars. And then I was not able to put this document over there, but there is a fund. There is like an insurance fund for the agriculture, the secretariat of the government in Mexico. So they actually have a fund, an insurance, if a jaguar kills one of your cattle, one of your cows or goats that you have, the value, yeah, so these are pesos, 50,000 pesos, which are roughly 50 entre dos, I have the by 50, 2, 3,000 pesos, yeah, like like 2000, like $2,000 for your cow if a jaguar kills it. But you have to prove that it was your cow and that it was killed by a jaguar within your conservation land, to call it in a way. So there are a lot of projects going here to avoid this human cat conflict, that is the loss of natural prey and the preying on the cattle here. So, well, besides that, the projects that we have in Mexico, we have a national census about jaguar. And because this is something that Mexico is pioneer in this type of study. It's a long-term study, 10 years. We are going to the third national census. On the last one, the second, 2008 to 2018, we had an increase in the Mexican jaguar population of 20%. We used to have like 4,200 or so. Now we have 5,000, a little bit more. So once again, it's an interdisciplinary, interinstitutional job. Here, for example, for the UNAM, we have the National University, Autonomous University of Mexico. They are working in this national census. All of this information is in Spanish, but well, you can always use the Google Translate. Um, but here is one of the results, and we have just very recently, February 20th, on this year, we start the third national census. So this will go from 24 basically to 2034 is when we estimate to have the results of this national census and to see how we're doing in numbers in Mexican jaguars. And for this, we have the idea of having these biological corridors connecting the protected areas in Mexico. And this is another open access article, Jaguar Distribution, Biological Corridors and Protected Areas in Mexico, from Science to Public Policies. So check this research article online. Is fantastic. Once again, a lot of maps, a lot of diagrams, a lot of numbers and statistics, and all the results that what we can see now in the census, that we have a pretty much very good results nowadays. And pretty much last but not least, there is a website named Jaguar Data jaguardata.info, and this one is pretty much like a database of the jaguar sightings on the northern part of Mexico and southern part of the states. So you can see all of these little marks, very pretty rosettes. And you click on that one, and they display all the information of that sighting. Unfortunately, for example, the ones in Texas are from 1855, I think, and it is just like, oh well, my neighbor just killed a jaguar 2 months ago because he was eating the cows or something. So it's just, well, I have the name of this man and they told us this, but it's a site that in in the big picture, it tells us the history of this human cat conflict and the history of the distribution of the jaguar until pretty much very recent times, 100 and almost 200 years ago. Is not that much in natural time. Okay, so Jaguar Data Info is the very substantial website. And pretty much that's it. We are running out of time. Thank you very much for watching.
Wow, Melissa, that was incredible. You you just supplied us with so much information. I am blown away. I will give everybody a sneak peek who is still on with us. You brought up International Jaguar Day, but we're actually hosting a very special Conservation Connect webinar for that special day. It'll be a little earlier in the week since we are closed on the 29th, but everyone just keep an eye out for that presentation because it's going to be very special with a very special guest about jaguars. So I will say though, since we are well past time, we will skip the Q&A for this particular webinar, but you supplied us with so many amazing resources that I'm sure that by diving in, we can definitely learn a ton more about Jaguar. So Melissa, I will turn it to you for any last closing thoughts.
Yeah, I think yeah, it was a lot, and I left out a lot of things that were very very cool and important. But well, nature is always like this. Um, well, nothing more than thanks for being here. Uh, I really like to say we are part of nature. Stay in touch with nature. Make an effort to connect with the local nature that you have. If you live in this part, southern part of the states, try to go into this local protection or conservation group, not only for the jaguar, but if you take care of the little prey that the jaguar is eating, eventually it's a chain reaction. So do little and you will see a big result. Thank you very much, and see you on the next webinar. Thank you.
And thank you, Melissa, for taking the time to present to us today. And I'd like to thank everyone who tuned in. Join us tomorrow for our next daily dose of nature. You can check out this week's lineup, including registration links, on our website at nathab.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and we will have the replay available on our website soon. With that, I will conclude the webinar. Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks.